Turn over
The meeting will begin in about 1 minute.
Ready? Okay. Hello, everybody. I am David Olson, and I'm running for mayor of Cathlamet. The first Spider-Man movie, the first one, Tobey Maguire, first one. Remember? Yes, sir. No, the one where Uncle Ben advised him, with great power comes great responsibility, right? In connection with the mayor of Cathlamet, I can say this: with little power comes great humility. Very important. The mayor of Astoria, former mayor of Astoria, told me a few weeks ago. He said, "You know, you have a little bit of power, but you have a lot of influence. A lot of influence. You can influence things for the better. That's what you can do." And in this case, the mayor has no vote on the town council except at the top. So influence is key. The mayor is the CEO of the town. It's a multi-million-dollar operation. But there is no city manager. There is no city administrator, and there's not going to be one. The mayor is the CEO of the town. This is a hire. This is a hire by the voters. And the hire needs to be based on a resume. In my most recent flyer, I tried to put my resume out. I hope you had a chance to look at it. But you know, the mayor cannot take action unilaterally. You can't just say, "Stop talking, I'm going to take action." You can't. You need 3 votes on the council, and you need community buy-in. And to say you can act unilaterally is to fundamentally misperceive what the mayor does. He has to influence. Do any of you take dictation? Well, neither do the voters of Cathlamet. They don't either. They don't like it. The trick of the mayor's job is to bring together people for common goals and endeavors. Let's agree on the goals. Let's obtain buy-in. Buy-in from the town council, buy-in from the community, and let's do these things. Partnerships, transparency, tell people what you're doing. Civility. Let's do civility. One of the early things I did at the council was introduce standards for civility. I have a very low tolerance for sniping and a very low tolerance for squabbling. It's a waste of time. I'm wasting your time if I'm doing that. Let's not do that. So, before I came to Cathlamet, this beautiful community 3 years ago, I had a great civic resume, 30 years in local government. All my plaques and awards are in a box in the attic, and I don't know where it is. Because it doesn't matter. That, you know, all those plaques, what matters is the here and now. What matters is this beautiful community. You know, there's so much going on. I'm really proud. If you saw the flyer, you can see from the moment I got on the council 2.5 years ago, I started bringing things in. The town council is not a place where you sit and vote. You come in once a month and vote. What are you doing? Every couple of months, I bring in something new, ideas, and then see that they would happen. Let's make this happen. Electric vehicle charging station. Let's make it happen. Nobody's going to apply for it. Fine. I'll apply for it. Downtown Wi-Fi. Let's make it happen. The amazing history. It's Indigenous Peoples Days, Columbus Day today. The amazing history of the Chinook here. It's not even taught. Let's work with them to recognize them. And you know how much money does not come into this community because of that lack of recognition. Fish, conservation, healthcare. That's your tax dollars going out for that because the local tribe's not recognized. This is very, very important. You can see what I've done, you can see that I'm very productive. I don't like to sit idly by. I came to Cathlamet and I've done a terrible job of retirement and it's about to get worse. So I'm not retiring, but there's so much happening here. It's very important. Main Street. I want to stop now and say thank you to Stephanie, to the Spar. Your business here for surviving 2020. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, literally. We've lost businesses, we've lost jobs, we've lost people here because of that pandemic here. We cannot afford it. We cannot afford it. Stephanie opened the Spar in the middle of the worst pandemic since 1918. In fact, it's now worse than that. And they're here. These businesses survived. And they did that because we supported them, and we need to keep supporting them. And we do. We can't just lip service. We can't, when they come in and ask us for something, the town council, we can't hector them and nickel and dime them. We need to help them. That was my attitude with Rivermouth. These are the lifeblood of the community. We've got to stand up and help them do what they do because it helps all of us. What happens on Main? There's so many issues. There's so many issues and so little time. How much time do I have? Never mind. Okay. Main Street. Okay. Downtown revitalization. The Chamber of Commerce gave me a stack of studies this high called Main Street Revitalization. I got them this high. You know what's been done with them? Zip. Correct. Let's do something. Right across the street, you have a sore thumb. It's been sitting there for 15 years. Do you know when the last court order was on the Columbia Saloon? 2010. Said fix it in 30 days. This is unconscionable. This is ridiculous. We could have a development there that would benefit the town. Retail, housing, there's so much that can go on. We've got to get off the rear end and go do it. And it is very important that the communities and the council and everybody agree on what that is. Utilities. How many of you live in the town of town utilities? How do you like utility bills? I bet you don't like them very much. And what you have is an over-leveraged sewer system and on a tiny base that's charging everybody 3 times as much as you pay anywhere in the surrounding area. It's unconscionable. We are doing a study at the town. We need to finish that study, see what we can do to broaden the base, and we have a serious discussion with the PUD who knows how to run a utility. You know, and I have already started that discussion. We need to have that discussion. How can we remediate utility rates? Very important. Waterfront Park. It's the drawings for Waterfront Park. The first thing I saw at town hall when I came to this community, and there they sit, and nothing. It has not moved forward. The town did not get state funding to develop Waterfront Park in the last round. Why? Longview, Pacific County got millions of dollars for squirrel bridges over Lake Sacagawea. Why are we not getting funds to develop the most pristine and most valuable piece of municipally owned riverfront property in the Lower Columbia? Right there, right there. We need to get money from Olympia to take care of that. And instead of going it alone, the mayor cannot go it alone. We need partners. I pushed very hard to get the port and the county and the town working together. We don't have time to fight about property lines. We need to develop this waterfront for everybody's sake. What else do we need? We need broadband. Hello, Steve. We need broadband. And it's not just in the town where the people are. Everybody in town benefits when you're running fiber up your locomotive, out to Puget Island where the school staff is. The whole town benefits from that. We've got to have broadband. This is an area of my expertise. I worked in this area. We know how to do this. Let's go do it. Again, working together. Where are the ports? The ports, I hope the ports work with us. They're working in Woodland and they have economic development authority. Let's do that. So much to do. Town boundaries. Anybody look at the town boundaries? Make a lot of sense? Town boundaries of Cathlamet. You ever looked at it? It's basically a salamander. It's a Cathlamet mander. There's no rhyme or reason to town boundaries. Let's have a conversation across Jacobson Road with Indian Village and up Greenwood and say what makes sense. There's not anybody who's going to come into the town unless it makes economic and practical sense to do so. let's talk about what that means, because the more voters in town, hey, that's great for me, but I want it to be practical benefit. The comprehensive plan, we need to finish it. It's been sitting there since 2002. It's deputized, we need to finish it. So many jewels here in town. And I'll tell you this, I'm really tired of this conversation about, oh, well, the county taxpayers aren't paying for this, the town taxpayers are paying. We're in a community. We're in a community. And we're nickel and diming, whether you're in the county or in the town, it's a waste of time. We're all, what do townies pay for the ferry? 5 minutes. What do we pay for the ferry? Huh? You know, we're all in this community together. Let's act like it. So my method is opportunistic. I'm relentless about finding opportunities, pursuing them, and getting them done. I was in the school superintendent's office this morning because there's a grant due Friday to put sidewalks in front of the elementary school and the high school. That grant was stranded 3 years ago and never got funded. There's another funding source this Friday, and I was in the school superintendent's office this morning to see it done. Let's get it done. Why are kids stepping off in the mud in front of the elementary school? Westport ferry dock. Do we live in a state that knows something about government ferries? I guess we do. Why don't we do something with economic development around the ferry landings? I worked hard to get a Cathlamet sign so people in Oregon know where the heck the ferry goes, because otherwise it was completely invisible. The town dock. Let's watch it fall in the water. Well, what do? I wrote a grant to get $10,000 from the town dock from state natural resources money. We got the grant. There's entrepreneurial, opportunistic, relentlessly looking not for things to disagree on, but for things to do. Education, advocacy, empowerment, and don't speak squabble. Nobody has time. It's a CEO, but it's not a one-man show. CEO, not one-man show. You have to have agreement. So we got to work together to make it happen. Let's all agree, everybody here. Let's agree right now. We're in the earliest days of a revitalized Cathlamet. That's where we are. I'm glad my opponent for the office is with me today, Robert Stowe. I want to thank you for making me a better candidate. Thank you. Stepping up. It is not easy to run for these jobs. And I thank Robert, and I look forward to working with Robert on the council, because I said 3 votes. Robert, I need your vote, okay? And I need to obtain it by persuasion and by sound policy and by not arguing. So that's it. It is a high honor, the honor of my life. Many of you asked me to run for this position. It's the honor of my life. And I need my head examined, but it's the honor of my life to do this. So thank you. I can't.
Second honor.
And none of it would be possible without my lovely wife. Very much. This is all about going forward, Cathlamet, with your help. I'll be here till Saturday. No, I'll be here to take questions, whatever you'd like. But thank you all. And thanks to Ron Wright and the school for taping this. Thank you.
Gonna get back up to take questions?
Okay.
Are you pulling the Biden and walking away? Are you gonna take
No,
questions?
I'll take questions. Yeah. I just have to make sure Ron is. Absolutely, please. Go ahead, hit me.
First off, it was the waterfront development. It's always been the waterfront development. However, several years ago, that changed the waterfront park.
Okay.
So all the plans and the plan that you've got, which is a revitalization plan you got from the chamber, that's our waterfront development.
Yep.
There's a park element,
Right.
but it's a development.
That's a very good point. And I thank you for clarifying that, because the town has a habit of picking and choosing what's a park and what ain't. Okay, and I don't agree with all those choices. So thank you. That's a very good point. Other questions? Anything? Yes, Phyllis.
This is a small town and also travels faster than getting these done.
I'm sorry, say again.
This is a small town.
Yes.
And gossip is faster than getting these done.
Really, you think? Yeah.
Rumor has it that you really need to write grants.
I am good at writing grants.
I graduated college.
I got about an 80% record at Red right down.
So how are you going to take that great talent and use it for the best of us?
We need a grant for the waterfront development, of which the park is an element. It gets funded, and we need to not write it in isolation. We need to write it in cooperation with the port and the county, and write it so the RCO and Olympia funds it, and it doesn't fund more spoil bridges. We need it. We need the money here. That's one. Another one. Let's get the sidewalks in front of school. Opportunistic grant. Let's get a state scenic byway designated for SR4, one of the most beautiful stretches of road in the entire state of Washington. It's not even designated as a state scenic byway, which brings tourists here. I also wrote a grant for electric vehicle staging. You all know General Motors is not building internal combustion engines anymore. We have got to be very agile on the EVs, and we're going to be with a high-powered engine. That's just examples of grants. There are grants coming every week by the state, by the federal government, and in the region. You know the problem here? We don't ask. We need to ask. And it joys my heart if somebody in Olympia or Washington, D.C. says, where's Wahkiakum County? Because we ask. You have to ask. You have to know how to ask. And I enjoy doing that work because I'm proud of living here and I'm proud of bragging up what we can do here. And I love to write grants. So there you go. And I had to do it. Anything else? Yes, please.
We've lived on Puget Island for about 5 years.
Yeah.
But it seems like Puget Island is really growing.
Yes.
There's more people on Puget Island
Yep.
than there in Cathlamet.
There are about twice as many.
So there's quite an influence from there. It appears to be certainly a lot of interest in the town. What is your perspective or your opinion about someday possibly incorporating?
Well, I would like not to get lynched by the ducking district, but I think Puget Island is absolutely essential. We all need to work together. The whole thing about annexation of town boundaries, it's a mixed bag. You could spend 10 years trying to get there and discover what have we done because people are resistant. If you notice, everybody in Wahkiakum County has an opinion and they're not afraid to tell me, so they will. But I think there are other ways to work. For example, when I realized the town doesn't have a planning commission, we've got to have one. We've got to put it back together. The first thing I did, my first 6 months on the council, was rewrite city code so 2 members of that planning commission can come from outside the town. That means Puget Island or Locum, and that means people bringing a broader perspective. Now we have to get the planning commission back together. That was my code amendment, so that the planning commission can have 2 members from outside town and 3. That's an example of working together. We've got to work together. So, yep. Terry.
I also live on Puget Island.
Yes.
And Cathlamet, the town of Cathlamet is our center for those of us who live
Yes.
on the island.
Yep.
We care about what happens in this town.
Yes.
And I wish there was more connection between the island and the town.
I agree with you, and I think I mentioned that the town council is not a place where you just come in once a month and vote. You're wasting time. If that's what your view of the job is, it's passive. You've got to bring things to the council agenda. That's what I've done. Every month after month after month, I've brought things in. I believe the mayor and the council should get out and go to community meetings, go to a Dyking district meeting, should go get out. It's not just people coming to us. We need to get out more and educate ourselves. One of the great illuminations I've had is working with the Council of Governments, the COG, and kicking them to make sure we get our share of resources. But the COG has introduced me to local governments throughout the region, and I have some friendships there. The Kelso City Council, the Longview Council, and Castle Rock. The mayor of Castle Rock is the current chair of the COG, Council of Governments, and I'm the vice chair. And so I think we need to learn from our friends. We need to find best practices and follow them. That's why I sat down with the mayor of Astoria, a former mayor of Astoria, 4-term mayor of Astoria, a few weeks ago, and he gave me a lot of good advice. And that's why I'm working with the museum. We're helping bring in the former Astoria Maritime Museum director to talk at our annual meeting. We need to learn best practices. We may be small, but we don't need to be isolated. Let's learn from our colleagues and friends and other folks. Let's apply those lessons here where they make sense. Because I don't want to say we're like anybody else. Wahkiakum is its own place entirely. And we love it here. This is one of those historic places in the state of Washington. Don't get me started, but we started before Puget Sound. As Linda's often heard me say, this place started, Astoria, Fort Vancouver, and Cathlamet started before any European settlement of Puget Sound. Let's remember and be proud of that. Let's market it. Let's market our heritage tourism. That's what there's so much to be proud of. Other questions?
Can I share a story?
Please.
Castle Rock started their Blooms program.
Yep.
And it was because the mayor decided to turn Castle Rock around. Castle Rock was dying.
Yeah.
They brought it back, and the lady from the Blooms program came to the chamber.
Yep.
And started our Blooms program.
Yep.
And she said, you just need like 5 pots to get started.
Yep.
And now we've got 45 pots out starting our Blooms. Castle Rock is a great example of where a mayor and the town council said, we're gonna turn this town around.
Yep.
And now they've got unbelievable things going on downtown. You're exactly right. You can look at Castle Rock and say, why can't we do that here?
Yep, exactly. So I'm excited. It's challenging. I stay up nights worrying about what's gonna happen. But all I care about is this beautiful town where I'm gonna live the rest of my days with my wonderful wife. I'm not going anywhere. This is home. This is home, and I'm so happy to be here. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the most beautiful place in the world. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Well, married to the best woman, but also living in this beautiful place. So I feel blessed. I feel blessed by all of you. And you know, it's amazing what can happen in a community if nobody worries about who gets credit. You know, and I don't need my name on anything. I just want to see practical things done and good things done. That's all. That's all I got. Yeah, Phyllis. Was that?
What barriers do you foresee that you want to do? And how are you overcome?
Incivility and squabbling. Incivility. So we can't get anywhere with incivility. That's one of the biggest barriers we have. And we live in a world where, very sadly, incivility has been a growth industry, and people have forgotten how to get along. And one of the problems with that is people mistake opinions for and beliefs. They cross the line between opinions and beliefs. If you say your opinions, this is my opinion, well, we can have a conversation about that. And I can bring facts in, you bring facts in. If you say, I believe this, then anything different is an attack on you. This is the problem. That doesn't work. The system breaks down when opinions are expressed as beliefs. We've got to get back to opinions. We've got to talk to each other. We can't stop talking. We have to keep talking. And we have to work together to take actions that benefit the community. The notion that we can stop talking is not okay.
It's not about us, it's about our community. We're here to serve.
It is.
And if we can get across that barrier,
Yep.
it'll be good.
That's exactly right. And it's amazing. I explain to people who come visit us here, oh, by the way, bring cash or a check on the ferry. And they say, check? What's a check? You know, I mean, we at some point do need to get into the 21st century, and we will. But we have to help ourselves do it. It's just fine. The water's just fine, folks. We're going to be 20%. So, anything else? I really appreciate you all being here. You're blessing me by being here. I'm honored. I'm honored to be asked to do this. And if I'm promoted by the voters, I'll do the best job I can possibly do in a practical way. And if I don't, I expect to hear from you. Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Town.